Yep, good scene, guys. The lady sure is climbing. Dante sure is walking towards that door. Yep. I certainly learned a lot about our characters in that little cutscene. That was definitely worth all the fucking megabytes of data that was wasted on that scene. Good show, chaps. You're the best. Greetings. This is the cynical ramblings of Solidus-Skully. Welcomed back to Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening for the worst mission in the entire game. So yeah, as you can see, we're not exactly being struck down by God or the angels of heaven, because, you know, as per Itsuno's dictating mandate, yeah, there are no angels in Devil May Cry, so this is pretty much a demon in disguise. I guess sort of going for the Mundus effect of the, you know, the whole fallen angel kind of thing, but, yeah, these enemies pretty much just sort of take the visage of angels. They have spears there to pretty much pierce you, and, yeah, you pretty much need to destroy their defensive systems, attack the face, that's pretty much their weak spot, slush them around a little bit, and hey-ho, Pip and Dale, Dante slays an angel. Oh, dearie me. Truly, if they had an angel trigger, perhaps they would be saved. But alas, this is not the reboot continuity, this is the classic continuity. But yeah, in any case, so the only way you're really going to do any significant damage towards, you know, a lot of these enemies is pretty much by using your sword to destroy the little barrier of their wings, whatever, and then utilizing guns to pretty much destroy them. They will shoot down their spear and have it explode, as you saw just there, and, yeah, they do have the rather annoying habit of going, no, you can't hit me, and phasing through objects, which is kind of a wee bit pish, to be completely honest, but, yeah, for whatever reason, my lock-on display all throughout this level kept on getting turned off for some reason, which is kind of fucking bizarre for some reason. I mean, I didn't turn it off at any other point in the game, so, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But in any case, so, yeah, when its face is down, you can pretty much, shoot the guns, except until it regenerates its shield back up, in which case you gotta slash it down again, and cut it down to size. But yeah, not exactly the worst enemy, but by that same token, it was also just kind of a wee bit, well, pish, really. And, that's also gonna continue all throughout most of this level, because, yeah, I didn't say this was the worst level in the game idly. In terms of story, it pretty much accomplishes nothing apart from just sort of vaguely illustrating what we're already doing at this stage. And, yeah, I mean, this level is really just sort of nothing more than basically a padded fetch quest. Because again, you remember back before we fought Virgil, we needed like the fucking Seal of Orichalcos or whatever the fuck that metal jewel was called to progress onwards? Well, now we're doing that again, except more. Because now it's been cut into 3 pieces and you gotta go through fucking Doolally Puzzle Box Town in order to find where it is by rotating the Temini Gru to get to the right area, to hop on the frog on the log to get to the house that Jack built. In a very tedious fetch quest. Again, you don't see any new environments, you don't see any unique twists upon the levels. All it is really is just, fucking fetch quest lands Doolally, and again, you might be thinking that again, well, this is after, you know, the Temini Gru is transformed. Maybe you might see something interesting, but no, all you're literally seeing is, like, one part of the Temini Gru, except now the jewel thing that was once vertical is now horizontal. Woo! Genius gameplay. I can certainly see why this game is the best video game ever made, and the best in the series. Whoopee. Because why do things that are great and intriguing instead just do what you did before, refine it, and then just think, fuck it, the budget's running out, gotta pad the game time. Because you don't wanna know. Oh boy, if you thought I'd been sulky before, well, Solidus-Skully's gonna get more snarky, more sarcastic, and probably more bitter and irritable than ever before. And here's where we need to slot in the Seal of Orichalcos, so we can use this, what's basically otherwise a lift. And I mean, honestly, I mean, whatever. I mean, again, I suppose Dante doesn't really have any other means of sort of climbing up the tower, but I mean, then again, as you saw beforehand, like, I mean, he's able to run, like, fast enough to scale down the tower while still keeping his footing if the previous cutscene in Mission 7 or Mission 8 was anything to go by. So, I mean, really, like, what's to stop him from, like, I don't know, like, ice picking his way up there like Lady is right now, or... whatever. This entire thing is really just sort of a gameplay excuse to do gameplay things and have a bit of a mission, which is... And moreover, there's not really much of anything interesting to say about the level. It is just a fetch quest from beginning to end. I would illustrate you with more interesting facts about the Tema Nigru, but I mean, again, it's just not really anything, really. It's a barrier between the human and demon world, and that's pretty much that. No anything of intrigue, no hellish prisons. It is the one thing that I do wish they... Again, if I can at least be somewhat earnest in some of my critiques, it is the one thing that I do wish they sort of expanded upon in terms of what the Tema Nigru actually is. Like, again, again, you see humans living in fear, but also being enticed by it, so, I mean, could it be potentially a prison for those who, you know, were allured towards evil? You know, would they be stuck here to become demons themselves? I don't know, I feel like that probably would have been a little bit more interesting and, you know, kind of thematically tie into Arkham's whole dealio of, like, I want to claim the power of Sparta, and to do it I will unlock the Tema Nigru so I can, you know, unlock the key. We'll be seeing a little bit more of what that is eventually, but needless to say, I just feel like that probably would have been a little bit more interesting, or at least, you know, sort of maybe seeing a few other people here and there. Again, I know Devil May Cry 3 didn't really have the budget to showcase, like, a big city destruction scene with people running in terror, but I don't know, I feel like maybe, like, 2 or 3 characters caught in the crossfire that Dante sort of meets up with and, you know, sees how in peril they are might have, again, to borrow a phrase from Devil May Cry 1, woke him up to justice, and, you know, sort of showed him that, you know, demon hunting isn't just about being like, oh, yeah, chimichangas, I'm so cool, and instead showed him that, you know, there are actual people in danger, and, you know, what Sparta was doing with his life was, you know, less about sucking his own dick and more about, you know, saving the humans and, you know, finding the parts of humanity worth saving. I don't know. I mean, again, you could have played on the whole idea of, like, you know, innocents caught in the crossfire, or, you know, sinners who are allured by the Tema Nigru that are trying to, you know, acquiesce demon power, and, you know, Dante ends up having to destroy them as they've given up their humanity to become demons. Something that would have thematically tied with the whole, you know, human-demon, you know, sort of dichotomy going on. You know, Mr. Dante Spire Esquire chooses humanity, while Mr. Virgil goes, grrr, power and might, I'm a demon, grrr. You know, so there's a little thing we like to call thematic substance. You feel me, Diggy Dog? I don't know. Again, like, that's the kind of the thing, really. I mean, again, I know it probably sounds like I'm making more of a case for my fanfiction's better than your official source material, but to me, the game wastes a little bit too much time doing the whole jokey jokes, whoopee, whatever kind of stuff in a story that's trying to take itself seriously. Whereas, again, like, some of the scenes that should have better illustrated the story's themes and overall point end up completely falling by the wayside or not getting addressed at all, which is incredibly frustrating to me because, you know, as somebody who does like the Devil May Cry series, I do like these characters. Again, I'm not just playing this for fucking doolally whatever kind of shit. I mean, again, this isn't fucking Bayonetta, where the entire game is pretty much going doolally from the fucking get-go. That's... Well, then again, even that series, and one of my biggest problems with that is that it also copies Devil May Cry's propensity for being jokes, while also trying to be for serious and hardcore emotional drama or whatever. I don't know. The salient point I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't really balance its, tone very well, and that's, okay, I mean, admittedly though, it's a very difficult thing to do, but by that same token, you know, like with gameplay balance, it is a necessary component, because too much of one thing is, well, again, it's unhealthy. I mean, again, if I could call Devil May Cry 3 anything, I mean, and I mean this in the best way possible. I mean, again, it is, you know, it's an ice cream game. You know, having ice cream is good and, you know, good, enjoyable, fun, and, you know, you're not gonna knock it if you have it, but I mean, by that same time, if you're having it all the fucking time, you're gonna get, you know, you're gonna get fucking sick of it, and to me, that's the sort of thing. I mean, I probably would have been a little bit more forgiving towards, you know, the, yeah, come play the show, doggy, or, brother, what is Psy? if it was maybe just one or two moments, but they front-load a lot of that at the beginning of the game, which I suppose was done to make the latter half of the game seem more epic and intense, but it just comes across as making the first half of the game feel like a comedy, then the second half of the game feel, you know, tonally disingenuous by making it seem as if, like, it's like, oh no, sorry, did we say this was a comedy game? No, it's an action, horror, whatever kind of thing where, you know, it's serious, you're gonna take it seriously. Oh my god, these characters are so cool, but they're also so tragic, oh my god. And it's just a mess. A sugary ice cream spilt on the floor that you're slurping out of the shag like a sugar junkie mess. And that's my review. Yeah, I don't think the door's sealed here, so you could probably just pretty much get the seal of Orichalcos and go, so, I don't know why the fuck, well, whatever. Evil spider enemies, as you can probably tell about how much of a fuck I do not give. Yeah, we're using holy water. And again, I mean, it is a pretty viable strategy, it's just that, you know, Devil May Cry 3, more than most other games in the series, it's pretty much the sort of game where people are like, oh no, you used an item. That means you suck. Plot hole. But, whatever. They're tools for you to use in the game, so use them to the best of your ability. A luxury that's not exactly given to you in Devil May Cry 5, where they actually remove items like this and pretty much leave it up to your skill. So, yeah, have fun in some of the harder difficulties of that game. Oh dear, more rooting around and fucking doing whatever, really. I'm trying to remember, actually, because, I mean, I remember shortly after I finished recording the game, I did actually boot up Devil May Cry 5 for the first time in a long time, and, yeah, I mean, to kind of get on a bit of a positive train, yeah, Devil May Cry 5 is still enjoyable, still a very great game. There's a couple of problems here and there that I do have with it, but on the whole, I mean, 5, I still had a really fun experience with, and, it was one that I really needed to make up for lost time with, because, I mean, I remember I did an initial playthrough and pretty much sort of left it at that, but, yeah, this time around I pretty much ended up going the whole hog, you know, completing the different difficulties, completing the must-die mode, you know, unlocking, you know, a lot of the in-game stuff that I didn't before, so, yeah. Devil May Cry 5, again, I wasn't really too sure what I was going to think of it, if I thought it was going to be, like, I liked it at the time because it was new, fun, and, you know, it was something that I just enjoyed playing back in 2019, but no, Devil May Cry 5 is still a genuinely fun game, so, yeah. It gets Skully's happy face. It makes me a happy man. But in any case, so this is pretty much the last area that you'll have to get the final piece of the Orichalcos, and, yeah, by the way, if you're playing, Heaven and Hell mode, you'll probably, again, if you're not exactly very good with timing your jumps or whatever else, this will probably be where you die the most. If you're not particularly careful. I mean, again, these, you know, mist enemies are, well, they're not really too big of a threat until they sort of latch onto you, but, yeah, they shouldn't really pose much of a threat. In any case, we're pretty much done here, and, yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't say it's completely unlikely for you to get lost around these areas again. I think if you pretty much go in the same sort of order that you've been striking the switch to rotate the Temini Gru around, you should relatively find yourself okay. But, yeah, again, if you decide to go off the beaten path and explore a little bit more, which, again, as I've shown before, you can do, you know, I mean, again, you can pretty much leave the Temini Gru at any time throughout different points of the game and, you know, go back to Dante's shop, explore the city, and, find a couple of hidden power-ups or golden orbs here and there, so, yeah, you can do that, but, yeah, you just need to make sure you keep track of which pathway you're taking and which pathway leads to what in terms of the red, green, and, blue areas, in which you're there to find the Orichalcos spots and, you know, pretty much go back to where you came from. Obviously, we can't jump over towards the lift because Dante's fucking stupid, because why not? Let's just go down the steps and fucking find another way up, because I'm Dante, which, I mean, to kind of say something a little bit here, like, I mean, again, I know a lot of people, particularly from what I've heard about, you know, the 2025 Dick Flick series, that tend to portray Dante as a bit of an idiot because he's, well, at least on the surface he claims to be a bit of a party boy, but that's not exactly the case. I mean, Dante does have a bit of an education about him, you know, he is educated enough to solve puzzles, again, I believe, you know, even if it wasn't exactly his forte and interest, he did still learn about classic literature, you know, growing up by proxy of his parents, so you know, Dante does have an intellect about him, it's just that, you know, he's got a lot going under the hood. So again, like, I mean, it does kind of chide my spuds a little bit whenever I see, you know, casual fans of the series just sort of talk about him like he's just fucking whatever wacky jokester, whatever kind of character. I don't know. It's a little bit annoying, but yeah, I don't know. Dante's got a little bit more depth to him than what I feel. I mean, what I feel at times the fan base and at times, you know, a lot of general audiences usually tend to give him. But then again, I can't tell if that's just because of the effect of what Devil May Cry 3 and it's leaning towards more comedy-focused kind of things as opposed to, you know, gothic horror action is sort of invoking, or if it's just a genuine case of, you know, people stereotyping a character. Oh, Love Shack. We will return to you someday by shooting your sign, looking at the sky as it turns into that, that's sort of like a milky twilight sort of hue of dawn. You know, the kind of thing before the sun fully peaks out, but at the same time is also, you know, really sort of chill and beautiful. Well, I mean, provided you're a morning person. I mean, speaking personally, since I usually have to get up for work at that time, I'm usually somebody who's just sort of a little bit grouchy and doesn't really fully appreciate the sunrise, but you know what, then again, if I am, like, feeling perked up and, you know, have a bit of a coffee in the morning, I don't know, I can usually appreciate that, you know, that nice little twilight hue. It's fucking beautiful, man. You see, it's the little things in life that you appreciate, even in video games. I mean, again, you know, for all that I've said about the game's visual style, which I think has been part positive, part sort of paltry to middling, really. I don't know, Devil May Cry 3 does have some beautiful bloom effects that really sort of bring out the best of the PlayStation 2's lighting engine, and again, they make the best use out of it. So, yeah, this is pretty much around about the point where I end up getting a bit turned around, so, yeah, that probably kind of irked me a little bit more than what I otherwise usually would be towards the level, but in any case, though, I pretty much teleport right back to the lift of where we need to go, so insert the 3 pieces of Orichalcos, and now up we go into the lift. I'm pretty much done with this shit. I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time, oh, we're pretty much gonna be in for a fight. But first, a clip from Arkham.
He plucks the threads that make us dance finger and toe. We surrender, enjoy, to the lowest of the foul and rank. We submerge through darkness, rancid filth. Hour by hour, we move downward, ever closer to hell, in a slow, steady gait. Now, let the world resonate. Sloth, gluttony, greed, envy, lust, wrath, and pride. A bell of chaos that tolls human desires. After 2,000 long years, the once sealed gate to the demonic world will open. Destruction! Carnage and despair! Let your instincts drive you. Entrap this world in fear, as its very name, timid and gloom, strikes terror into the heart of mankind. Then I will become the ultimate ruler of this wasteland, engulfed with pandemonium. The demonic power that Sparta once imprisoned